Krishna. Oh. Oh, okay. Alrighty. Let's pick a song out. Something simple to wake you up. Jago. Chana bo mai Jago Go chana bo mai Odanitra Yamaya Isa Chiriko Odanitra Yamaya Bisachira Majivo Maria say Samsara Vita Lady Mulia no to me Happy Jarapa Samsara the lady feel it to me I'll be Tomorrow I tell me I know I'm a child I'm in up Jaiva Tomare like they are me I know avatar I'm bina bando Kaya Jaiva Hey the Jaiva Nasivara Urina Mama Mantra Loyla Hele Jaya Shadi Maya Nasivara Urina Mantra Loud to me, Makati Melora Bravo Charane Boya Say Hari Nama Mantra Loyala Makia TV, not a bravo, Jarinikia, say Hari Nama Mandra, Loyla Makia. Jago, go with Chana Mulay, go down in Maya, Bisa Chiriko, Maya, Bisa Chirakaure, Ya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvacharya, also Tada Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Chalanad of Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON, Found Charya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anandakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Parurabhu Nityananda Shidvaita Gadadha, Shiva Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shishi Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Saim Kund Radhakunda, Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Maturadam Ki Jai, Jagatasami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Shivanigalasi Devi Ki Jai, Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, we'll read the translation. Actually, Namo Vishnupadaya. Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Sesha Srinyavadi Pascha Nishtar. Lord Gaurachandra is calling. Wake up, sleeping soul. Wake up, sleeping soul. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? You've forgotten the way of devotional service and are lost in this cycle of birth and death. I have descended just to save you. I am your only true friend other than me. What friend do you have? I have brought the medicine that will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you suffer. Take this great chant for deliverance, Mahamantra, the names of Hari. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, falling at the Lord's lotus feet, takes shelter of the Harinam mantra, the Lord's holy names. Okay, so I had something funny to say, but I'm not gonna offend anybody. Oh God, definitely don't want to offend anybody today. I say something funny that's a pointed comment. Anyway, no more pointed comments today. So we'll go on to the reading of the Jaiva Dharma by Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur. And we're on a very interesting section of the Jaiva Dharma dealing with the mixing of different rasas, both direct and indirect, or primary and secondary, or Mukhya and Gona. There's just different names for the same thing. So the Mukhya rasas, just to reiterate so you can remember the terminology, are the Shantaras, Dasharas, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras, and Madhurya ras. Okay? That means the peaceful ras, the servitude ras, the friendship ras, the conjugal ras, the paternal and maternal ras, and the conjugal ras. Okay? So, and that's the 5. And then there's 7 indirect ones like humor, hasha, shock. There's actually shock, ghastliness, vibhatsa would be more appropriate. And adbhuta, wonder. Ooh. And then anger, fear, chivalry. Anyway, So these flavor the direct rasas, and they flavor each other, and the direct rasas flavor them, and so certain combinations are compatible, and certain combinations are not compatible. For example, the combination of the conjugal ras with the butsa or ghastliness is really not good. Really bad combination. But it's good with servitude, like with Prahlad Maharaj. How he saw that his dear old dad was killed by Nrsingadev, and that was ghastly. Can't guess anything more ghastly than intestines being ripped out of someone's body and wrapped around someone else's neck. It's about as ghastly you can get. So anyway, so these are different rasas. And let's get back to the Jaiva Dharma. So Omagana Timiranda Shah. Gananjana Shlakya Chakshurun Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who was so kindly taking me out of the darkness of ignorance with a torchlight of knowledge, just like I was in a cave. All of us were in a cave, and someone came into that cave and said that there's a real world out there. And we said, nah, we don't believe you. This is the real world, the cave, and we got nice shadows in here, Can't see too many colors, but, it's life. And we're enjoying life in the cave, eating whatever's available in the cave, no vegetables or anything like that. And so then Prabhupada came and he shone a light and he said, follow me. And we left the cave. Of course, some of you want to jump back into the cave. I mean, that's the problem. We're dealing with so many disciples who just like, let me back in the cave, Prabhu. Or Maharaj, or Guru Maharaj. I want to get back in the cave. The cave is comfortable. It's actually, you don't understand how nice the cave is, Guru Maharaj. It's comfortable. Sometimes people who are so miserable, they get comfort in their miseries. Trying to squeeze some enjoyment out of this body. There's comfort in it. Some people, I was just seeing today that some people, I'm sure this is not going to offend anybody, that some people get great ecstasy out of jumping into a bathtub full of ice cubes and staying there as long as possible. I mean, whether it's good for the health or not, I'm not going to question that. Certainly a cold shower is good for the health. But some people get that happiness, wow. Very happy. Because if you do that when you get out, you're in ecstasy. That's true. I mean, actually, it's an ecstasy. I mean, there's some people who just to enjoy life, they choke themselves and swing from trees. People died like that. We had someone die in a neighborhood property next to our Miami temple because they were doing that for another purpose. But anyway, they were doing that. So, you just like subject yourself to so much difficulty. Just, oh my God. So, and then, what a relief. Okay. On that happy note, I said I wasn't going to offend anybody. Maybe I did. So, let's go on to the Jaiva Dharma. I'll share the screen. Alrighty. Here we go. Alright, let me set the screen up. Alrighty. Just one other thing we gotta do here. Okay, that's good. So we were talking about the Anga rasas and the Angi. Just to reiterate again, Anga means basically the limb, and Angi is the source of the limb. Let's say The anga would be the body, and the angi would be the arms and the legs, or angis for plural. So Brajanath is asking the question, what happens when contrary rasas flow together? And Goswami said, then a tasteless, unpleasant ras is created, similar to a concoction of deliciously sweet nectar with salty acid liquids, or as Prabhupada would often say, salt in the sweet rice. Such a distasteful mixture is called rasa basa, incompatible, conflicting mellows. It's an abasa. Remember, abasa is like a reflection. Yeah, like a reflection. Abasa. It's a reflection of actual rasas. Is this mixture of rasa abasa not relishable under any circumstance? So this is really an interesting point, which I sort of hinted at yesterday. In extreme circumstances, it may be relishable. Goswami said, Srila Rupa Goswami gives an answer in the Northern Division, 8th wave, verses 64, in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Tayor ekata rasyeha bhajatveno pavarnante smaryamanatayapyakto sangyena vachane picha rasantataina vyavado tatashtena priyena va vishaya shraya beta cha konena vishatasa icha tishuna vaira sham vaino janayed yutuyi. The mixture of two contrary rasas does not produce vira sata, a conflicted taste, in the following situations. Okay, so he gives like the rules. When one logically describes the preeminence of one contrary ras of the two that have mingled and thereby reveals the inferiority of the other ras. Okay. So even if two rasas are contrary to each other, conflict, if you describe it in such a way, gets pretty complicated, then one of the rasas is preeminent and the other one is just inferior. Or when one describes an incompatible ras in recollection, remembrance, or when one dispassionately describes a particular similarity between incompatible rasas, or when a tatashta ras, nutra ras, mellow, ras means mellow or taste, or preya ras, dear ras, friendly mellow, intervenes between the incompatible rasas. Wow. So if you can somehow describe how these two conflicting rasas are similar in some way, it's all right to have conflicting rasas. Or when you have a neutral ras in between the incompatible rasas. Ooh, Krishna. So let's say someone, I'm trying to think of an example of this. A neutral ras, the neutral ras would be like neutrality, like Shanta ras. If that could be between, if that could be between ghastliness and, let's say, between ghastliness and humor. Yeah, then it would fit. Okay. Or when there is here's another exception, when there's a divisive conflict between the Vishaya, the object of love, that's Krishna in most cases, and the Ashraya, resting place of love. A little complicated, I don't expect you all to remember it. I don't expect me to remember it either. So when there's a conflict between the Vishaya That's Krishna, and the ashraya, the devotee, let's take that for example, resting place of love, at the time of mixing of the incompatible Gunarasa and Mukhyarasa. Okay. So if there's a conflict, so let's say, okay, so that would be, let's say you have the conjugal rasa, and Krishna and his devotee are, there's a device of, and Srimati Radharani, I'm just making this up, don't quote this as a bona fide pastime. There's a device of conflict between Krishna and Srimati Radharani. And then you have, I guess it might be ghastly there, hitting, there's, the gopis are hitting Krishna with a stick, something like that. Interesting. It's not ghastly exactly. It's anger, but anger is actually, actually that's what I talked about before. Yeah, there's a conflict. Then anger can be brought into the conjugal rasa. Of course, another interesting feature is when a single devotee manifests dasha and vatsalya, servitude and parental relationship at different times, as in devotees such as Maharaj Yudhishthira. Thus, too, so Maharaj Yudhishthira sometimes felt like he's a servant, and other times felt he was like a parent of Krishna, protective of Krishna. The two mutually incompatible rasas generally never manifest together at the same time. However, in the stage of Adiruddha Mahabhav, the highest state of spiritual love, even if there is an arising confluence of all the opposing rasas, still rasa bhas is not generated. Wow. That's from the nectar of, actually, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So this is very interesting. I mean, one could take notes and try to understand these things. If one's going to write Vaishnava poetry, then you should really understand all these details. But for most of us down here in the mature world, we simply chant Hare Krishna and hope to be happy. Srila Rupa Goswami further explains in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Northern Wave, 8th Division, verse 57. Kvapyachincha mahashakkato mahapurusha shekare vasavale samavesha swadhyayaivo vajayate. In some rare cases, crest jewel mahapurusha means great devotees, endowed with inconceivable mahashakti, great potency, divine potency, experience a simultaneous confluence of contrary rasas that only serves to enhance their extraordinary rapture and relishing rasa. Wow. So it's contrary rasas, like ghastliness and conjugal, which are definitely contrary. Brajanath said, I have heard from the lips of learned Vaishnavas that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu strongly denounced rasa bhas to the extent they refused to hear any composition that was corrupted by rasa bhas. So far I have been told the numerous discrepancies of rasa bhas. May I hear of different varieties of rasa bhas? Goswami answers, hope you're all following this. I am, but when the mixture of mellows taste is incompatible and defective, it is described as rasabhas. In other words, when it's incompatible and not defective, according to the rules posted above, then it's not rasabhas. There are three varieties of rasabhas: uparasa, anurasa, and aparasa, which are graded respectively Uttama, major; Madhyama, intermediate; and Kanishta, minor. In other words, one is very serious, the other one is less serious, and the one is, insignificant. Prajna said, Gurudev, please explain uparasa. And actually, if you hear these explanations, it'll help you understand the nectar devotion better. Because this is basically a commentary on the nectar devotion in a story form, dialogue form. Goswami said, Sthai bhava, vibhava, anubhava. In other words, the bhavas which we've described innumerable times. The vibhava, the stimulation, the anubhavas, the voluntary actions, the ashta sattvika bhavas, the bhavas that manifest from the contact of the mode of transcendental mode of goodness with the life airs, the prana. Then there's the vyabhachari bhavas, which are 33 intermittent, uncontrollable ecstasies. And finally, there's the sthai bhava, which is your foundational mood, which relates to the rati. That means whether you're in dasha, or whether you're amishanta, or dasha, or sakya, or vatsalya, or madhurya. Okay. Complicated. Sthai bhava, vibhava, anubhava, etc., which are responsible for creating the 12 rasas. That's why the different bhavas that we described a few days ago or a few weeks ago are called rasas, motions. All right. When it has a bhava at the end, okay, that means emotions. This emotion, that emotion. Let's keep it simple. So the emotions create the taste. Just like let's say you go to see a movie and you feel an emotion. If you don't feel any emotion, there's no taste. It may be disgust. You wasted your money. So, but you feel an emotion. Or you go to the amusement park and go on the roller coaster. You feel fear. That fear, it's an emotion, but then you have the taste from experiencing the fear. So the bhava is that taste. Is the emotion, and the rasa is the taste. Sorry, got that right. So, so all these bhavas create the 12 rasas. 12 means 7 plus 5. Got it? 7 secondary, 5 principal. 7 plus 5 equals 12. Shanta, dasha, etc., and hasha, humor, adbhuta, wonderment, etc., may assume the status of an uparas. It's a type of rasabhas. This is caused when the sthai bhava, vibhava, or anubhava become virupita, disfigured by the imposition of a further dissonant ras. Dissonant means it doesn't combine well. Like sometimes we're leading Mangalarti and there's someone who's chanting in a different tune. That's what's called dissonant. Or in a different key. That's really dissonant. It drives you crazy. Gurudev kindly explained the anuras. Goswami says, when the secondary rasas, beginning with hasha, humor, are manifest by a person who at that time has tatashta bhava, neutral emotion towards Krishna, they are designated as anuras. That's interesting. If vira, that means a chivalrous emotion, Dana vira, etc., like that, is manifest by a personalities only distantly associated with Krishna, this may also be designated anuras. So it seems like people not really that close to Krishna, then they can manifestate anuras. Rajana said, Gurudev, how can such an emotion be designated ras when it arises in the heart of someone who is distant from Krishna? Surely at best such sentiment is gross, mundane ras, a mundane taste. Why then is such sentiment called anuras? Why is it called a ras? Goswami answers, rasas that do not have a direct and personal connection with Krishna are anurasas, for example. The laughter of the gopis. Yeah, so even in Vrindavan they have, tastes or bhavas or experiences or emotions that are not directly related with Krishna, but they are related with Krishna, because they wouldn't be having, the gopis wouldn't be having a rasa unless it was related with Krishna directly or indirectly. The laughter of the gopis upon seeing the prancing and pranks of the pet monkey of Shrimati Radharani. Kakati. Actually, there's many stories about Kakati. Kakati is a very interesting monkey. Srila Narada Muni expresses adbhuta, wonder, when he hears the parrots in Bandiravana discussing Vedanta philosophy. Certainly there is a slight and distant connection with Krishna, but no, not a direct one. This is anuras. So anuras is sometimes acceptable, even though it's rasabhas, because the Narada Muni is experiencing it, and the gopis experience the laughter of seeing the monkey, Kakati. What is aparasa? In a situation where Krishna is the Vishaya, the object of hasharas, laughter, etc., and his enemies are the ashraya. Okay, so in other words, when Krishna's enemy is laughing at Krishna, shelter or enjoyers of this rasa, such hasharas, etc., are called aparas. So in other words, here's the repeated derisive laughter, Jarasandha, upon seeing the flight, I've seen the flight of Krishna, because Krishna ran away from him many times, is called aparas. That's interesting. And also Shishupal also would be, he was criticizing Krishna committing 100 offenses. That would be considered an aparas too. Right. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in the Northern Division by 9th Wave, verse 21 of his book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Bhavasarve Tarabasa Rasabashash Shakechana Amiprokta Rasagitgayi Sarvepi Rasanadasaha. Some persons refer to the entire spectrum of the such bhavas as tad abhasa and others as rasabhasa. However, the expert realized scholars of Ras designate any transcendental bhava evoking divine bliss as rasa. So any spiritual, transcendental means spiritual emotions, somehow are they connected to Krishna, directly or indirectly, is ras. Because it's a taste. It's a taste. Even if it's a rasa abhas. And it takes, from what I'm seeing, it takes a self-realized devotee to determine whether a particular rasa bhas, anuras, aparas, can be accepted or not accepted. I would say one has to be a completely pure devotee, self-realized. That's why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had Swarup Damodar Goswami analyze any work that was brought to him before Lord Chaitanya would actually read the work. The effect of the analysis of Ras was so overpowering upon Brajanath and Vijay Kumar that they both fell to the ground, their eyes brimming with unrestrained tears. They could simply repeat in gratitude. So this is actually a very interesting point. Like, we're getting all this information from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is actually from Rupa Goswami, by the mercy of Prabhupada, and we're not grateful. You know, we like bite the hand that feeds us. We don't understand. Without Prabhupada, without the devotees, without our spiritual master, you know, we would be dogs, or worse. Or worse. There's no gratitude nowadays. I experience that all the time. I try to inculcate the mood of gratitude myself, that I'm very, very grateful to Prabhupada all the time. It's just amazing. The simple things. Like today, I was driving for 6 hours, not on vacation, Prabhuji's. I was driving for 6 hours to do some service for Krishna, because the people normally, as the shopping was away, and I had to do all the shopping. No, that's not true. That's a lie. No, because I had went to Charlotte to see some property for our temple there. And so anyway, so we went there, and I was listening to Prabhupada all the way there, all the way back, and I was feeling so grateful. Just hearing the simple philosophy of Krishna consciousness, just so grateful, thanking Prabhupada every minute. So really connected. You know, one would think like, but the drive was for service, not just going on some mundane vacation. So anyway, so let's go to this. So they simply repeated in gratitude, Om Gananta Mirandasha, Gananjana Shlakaya, Chakshurna Midikam Yena Tasmai, Shri Gurave Namaha. I humbly worship my spiritual master who has applied the salve, that's an ointment, of transcendental love, knowledge upon my eyes, and thus extirpated, got rid of, that's a fancy word, the 5 severe layers of material nations, senses, which are ignorance about the jiva's real... here's the 5. These 5 are ignorance about the jiva's real spiritual identity. This is Neshin's defined false identification of the body as the self, assume false proprietorship over matter as her master and enjoyer, forgetfulness, attachment to material conceptions and objects, and forgetfulness of their actual relationship with Krishna, and thus absorption in material duality, and the resultant fear, antagonism, and distorted perception of material bewilderment, as well as offenses against Vaishnavas. I mean, these committed offenses against Vaishnavas, you know, whether it's the spiritual master or other Vaishnavas, is very dangerous. Then one loses a taste, and then when one loses a taste, one gets a taste for so many other things. The proof that you're actually advancing in Krishna consciousness is Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Asu Vairagyam Gyananchayada Haitakam. That you start to get knowledge and you start to become neutral to the things of this world. Things are no longer interested. But if things really maintain their glow in the material world, it's interesting things. It's interesting phenomena that material relationships have a glow to them, an irresistible attraction. And that irresistible attraction is an indication of lack of advancement in devotional service, because once advanced, then the attraction is nil. Timiranda Shah, the darkness of ignorance, in the form of striving for the 4 Vedic goals, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, because people strive for these goals. I mean, even in the Western world, but they don't know how to strive even for those goals. Dharma means like mundane religiosity. Artha means economic development or acquiring things, and when you acquire it enough, then you get good old Kama. I was listening to a class on moksha. So, and then when you're fried out, you get moksha. So I was listening to a class where the devotees were talking to Prabhupada. You know, sometimes they would just like pose these statements to Prabhupada to try to get him to start criticizing the materialists. So the devotees said, yes, here in America, they were in India at this point. It was on a morning walk or something. And they said, Prabhupada, the Western world is so filled with this lust, and they have so many books about sex. And Prabhupada turned around and said, India too, they have a Kama Sutra. It's the nature of this world. Mercifully, the Guru opens the spiritual vision of the Jiva and makes him fixed in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, my experience is many people don't want that spiritual vision opened up. They just say, Guru Maharaj, let me remain in the cave. Let me remain in ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. Don't spoil it for me, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, you don't know that I like these things in the material world. Srila Gopal Guru Goswami bent down, raised the prostrate, that means they were offering obeisances, forms of Brajanath and Vijay Kumar, and firmly embraced them. He showered unreserved blessings upon his disciples, exclaiming, may the beacon of Rasa Tattva light up your hearts. In other words, they got the blessings of their Guru Maharaj. Blessings are everything. I figure if I can get the blessings of Prabhupada, then that's all I need. If Prabhupada's blessings, then I know my life is successful, because Krishna will take care of me then, even if there's so many deficits. Of course, that's mentioned in the Gita. Ananyas chintayo tamam yejana paripasate tesham natibiyu tamam yogushema bahamayam. For one who pleases, I'm paraphrasing this, was no other activity other than pleasing Krishna and Guru. Ananyas chintayo tamam yejana paripasate. Then Krishna preserves what they have and carries what they lack. And I lack a lot of things, and I pray for Krishna to carry them, take care of them, wow. So much lack. It's interesting, in Hindi there's the word lack, which indicates 100,000. So I have lacks of lack. Lacks of lacks. Yeah, lacks of lacks. Lots of lacks. Lots of lacks. Lots of lacks. Lots of lacks and lacks of lacks. Anyway, getting back to the text. Thereafter, Vijay Kumar and Brajanath made daily visits to the Radhakanta temple and engrossed themselves in spiritual discussions with Sri Janat Chandra Goswami. Of course, again, I'll just remind you that Radhakanta temple is Prakeshwar Pandit's temple, and his deities are called Radhakanta, Shishi Radhakanta. In New Orleans, we have deities named Radhakanta too. Drinking the Charanamrita and eating the nectarian prasadam from the lips of Srila Gopal Guru Goswami became an eagerly awaited daily ritual for them. So here the prasadam could mean food, prasadam. Of course, prasadam means mercy. It could mean also the remnants, but it means the remnants of Srila Gopal Guru Goswami. And it also can mean just the Krishna Katha. That's also prasadam. On different days, they would visit various holy spots of Puri, such as the Bhajan Kutir and Samadhi Mandir, Haridas Thakur. I've been there several times. Beautiful. The Siddhabakul tree where Haridas Thakur performed his bhajan. The Sri Tota Gopinath Mandir, that's where the deity of Krishna is sitting so that Gadadhar Pandit Goswami could dress him, and so on. At these places, they observed the different techniques of many Vaishnavas in chanting Harinam and their own quality of chanting was enriched by these examples. Wow. Because Harinam is everything. Furthermore, they were very much attracted to visiting the places of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, as described in the Stava Voli and Stava Mala, and experienced transcendental bhava motions in this way whenever they saw Shuddha Vaishnavas performing kirtan. That means pure Vaishnavas performing kirtan. They joined in. So, in other words, implicit in that particular statement is that sometimes there were Vaishnavas who were doing something deviant and they didn't join in. Vijay Kumar and Brajanath were gradually advancing in chanting and Shuddha Bhakti, pure bhakti. One day, Vijay Kumar considered. Srila Goswami has given a very brief account of Madhurya Ras. Brajanath is attracted to Madhurya conjugal taste. Brajanath is attracted to Sakya Ras. That means friendship with Krishna. However, I am definitely inclined to Madhurya Ras and feel the urge to ask Gurudev for further details of this topic. At a suitable time, when we are alone, I shall put further enquiries. So this indicates that there's certain topics about Krishna that are not discussed with everybody, even other pure devotees. And Lord Chaitanya showed that in his own pastimes. Like he discussed Madhurya Ras topics only with like 3 or 4 people. You know, I'm not going to give numero, Spanish. I'm not going to give the number right now because it's an unusual number, but I say 3 or 4. At the request of Vijay Kumar, Sri Janachandra Goswami kindly gave a copy of the book Ujjala Nilamani, which is a great exposition upon Madhurya Ras. So, that book is the postgraduate study for those in Madhurya Ras of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. Vijay Kumar enthusiastically delved into the book, going into Srila Gopal Guru Goswami, going to, for clarification whenever doubts arose. Okay. If we get too much into Madhurya Ras in the following readings, then we're going to go to another book. Because not only is it the case that not everybody's in Madhurya Ras, but it's also the case that probably we're all, or most of you, because I don't want to commit offense, are experiencing Bhava Rogue. Or rogue ras. Sick rasa of this material world. You know, there's so many rasas we can experience in this material world. But these rasas are, anyway, they're entangling. Yeah, so many rasas. So many rasas. I have a ras with my car. No, you don't. You only have a ras with entities of the same species, and cars are not the same species as me. So, with that in tow, or with that happy note, let us allow you to ask questions. Madhurya Ras. Okay, let's. Okay, you are now officially allowed to unmute yourselves or type in the chat window. So, anybody have any questions?
I just clarification, please.
Yeah.
They are using some of the name of our acharya like Dhyan Chandra Goswami and other acharyas. They are real people. So
Yes, they're real people.
yeah, and some of the names are imaginary. I think the Vijay Kumar and these. So did
Yeah,
this
Vijay
real?
Kumar. Vijay Kumar, yes, and Brajanath are imaginary. But
So,
Janachandra, Gopal Guru Goswami, Janachandra is real, Rakeshwar Pandit is real. These are real names.
so did they really meet them, or they are just using half of them imaginary name and
No,
half of them?
they're presenting the aspects of the philosophy that Janachandra Goswami presented in his books. He Janachandra Goswami specifically is noted for presenting a step-by-step instruction manual for developing one's ras. What can I say?
But he,
Especially,
uh, like he talked about external, not internal. Like we follow, like the rasa when it came through from Sarup Damodar, it went into two part. Vakreshwar Pandit talked about like they already tell you to imagine your identity, like they knew it, so they give you a. I'm
yeah,
forgetting the, but we follow the internal where it automatically comes from inside. So I think it was
we
a
we
different.
follow the deserve and then desire. We serve the
Yeah,
mission of Prabhupada. These many of these things that it's important for us to understand the basics, not all the details, but we're not going to go through the instruction manual and spend our lives in Vrindavan doing it. That's not Prabhupada's order, message, desire. This is just to indicate to us the complexity of this, and it's a bona fide process, but not for us, not for the followers of Srila Prabhupada, and not generally not for the followers of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Only one of them was authorized to follow this process, and that is Krishnadas Babaji. And the rest of everyone else is meant to assist the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and those who are servants of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is the Senapati Bhakta, Bhakta. So that's our mission. I definitely don't want to see people. I want to see people understand this. The theology behind it, and but you don't want to really imitate Vijay Kumar and Brajanath.
I
But
don't
yes,
understand.
Janachandra Goswami is a bona fide devotee, and he present the Bhajana Padati is called, just like we have an Archana Padati. Archana Padati is the direction manual how to do arti and bathe the deities and make the offerings and dress the deities and all the mantras and everything like that. But Prabhupada reduced it to something very simple because Prabhupada didn't want us to get into all these details and neglect the essence, which is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings of Namaruchi and Jiva Doya. That's the point. So, but you could see the reason we're reading this, the reason Bhaktivinoda Thakur presented this is so we can appreciate how great a science Krishna consciousness is. I mean, if we think about any other religion, it doesn't even hold a candle, or any other scripture doesn't hold a candle to the scriptures that we have and the details that we have. I mean, most of the scriptures, just like today, I was hearing a little bit about the Bible. Yeah, the reason I was hearing about the Bible was that it was recommended that I listened to a little lecture that a Christian gave about how to reconcile science with the Bible. And, it was interesting, maybe a little helpful as far as my own desire to reconcile the statements of Bhagavatam with the statements of modern cosmology. So anyway, I was listening and I was thinking how primitive compared to the Vedic literatures, and how you don't really have these instruction manuals. It's just like in anything in this world, any skill set you want to learn, you have instruction manuals. It's like when I buy something, just like you see behind me, there's a bike, an exercise bike, and it came in pieces. So when in doubt, read the instruction manual. Of course, that sometimes men have this habit of trying to put things together without reading the instruction manual, because there's a certain process. Just like when I put this thing together, then there was one part that goes first before you put another part in. I mean, this like it's a no-brainer. You know, it's just like if you had a bicycle, you probably want to put the chain in before you put the pedals in. So that's why we have these spiritual instruction manuals. The bhajan manuals like that, Padatis or Archana Padati. But, you know, Prabhupada simplified things for us. And for me, the overriding concern is not developing my or realizing my rasa with Krishna. The overriding concern for me is helping people, bringing people to Krishna. That's my overriding concern. I don't think, I mean, to tell you the truth, I'm not thinking of, you know, who am I in the spiritual world? Because Krishna's going to reveal. I don't have to think of it. Prabhupada will take care of it. Okay, that's enough, Rakesh. Anyone else have any other questions? You are muted. I muted you. So anyone else have a question? Anyone else? Gopal Das wants to ask to unmute. You're allowed to unmute yourself.
That's not me.
Oh, it's not. Oh, it's another Gopal Das. Or maybe it was a glitch in the matrix. All right, so if someone else doesn't have a question, it's actually time to end. Interesting discussion tonight. And we will see everybody. Let me just see. Interesting. Let's see. I'm just look at the guest list here. The guest list. It's interesting. Tomorrow we have a marriage. Very nice. Two nice devotees, disciples of mine, are getting married. Very, very nice persons. Lalita Sundari and Adi Purusha. That's actually quite interesting, like Rasa Bas. You got Lita Sundari, like it's a Vrindavan name, and Adi Purusha is like an unreverent name. You know, it's like, oh, Shantaras versus conjugal ras. I guess that's the problem. Okay. On that happy note, we will see you. No, don't call me after class, please.